Welcome to David's Life and Observation with your host, David Welch. I know I look like Robin Williams when he got out of Jumanji. What year is it, right? Um, yeah, I know this is my Viking look right after a nap. And I needed a nap today. I don't know what it was, just energy drained. Uh, just gotta get better sleep. Yeah, that's what it is. Um, but what I did enjoy watching today after work was the Chauvin Trial, and the gentleman who I believe is a security guard. Can't remember his name. I think his name is Donald. Um, when he was getting questioned by the prosecutor or the defense, when he was being cross-examined by the defense, um, he was just not with it. You know, they kept trying to paint him as this just unruly, angry man, and I'm like, how are you gonna paint that picture when he literally did nothing to interfere with law enforcement in the course of their duties during that time? Now, was he verbal? We have every right to be in this country verbal about what's going on, especially when law enforcement is committing murder right in front of people. And I don't even think people would have chastised them had, or even, I don't know what would have happened had he intervened, right? Had he stepped in and taken an arrest, or pulled somebody off of the George Floyd while he was being murdered. I don't think anyone would have blamed him. He probably would have been seen as a national hero. But even during this trial, we're seeing him as a national hero because, you know, the the defense cross-examines like, you say you're going to slap the fuck out of him. I did. The words "I did" will go fucking down in history because everything he confirmed. He was like, "I did, I did, I did say those things," and we always we always look at that as like some sort of magical break in decorum. Like that shit doesn't get said on the streets on a daily basis. Are we kidding ourselves? But what I think was important was that he wasn't backing down. He's like, despite me saying what I said, never once did I act out of character, right? Did I intervene? Did I remain anything but cool, calm, and collected? Because this guy is from all accounts, a trained mixed martial artist as well. And as a trained mixed martial artist, as a trained competitor in combat sports myself, when you see a choke occurring on someone and you know what it looks like, what it feels like yourself to be in that position and put people in that position as a competitor, you recognize things that are like, hey, like if you don't get off that dude's gonna die, regardless of the amount of fentanyl and all this other shit in the system. And it became glaringly obvious that there were other mechanisms in place that did not occur, right? Like them rendering first aid and a myriad of other things that just did not fucking happen, right? So we're watching this unfold in the courtroom, and the defense is just looking worse and worse and worse. Now, were there opportunities to really call into question the line of questioning from the defense? Sure. The judge was playing pretty hardball on what he was allowing as questions and what he was pretty much refraining. I can't really surmise right now which way the judge is leaning because it's not really in his hands, right? He has just control objectivity of the court, but I don't know if he's being truly objective when he allows the defense to really lead the line of questioning to a foregone conclusion, right? It's called leading the witness. Regardless if it's a cross examination or not, you don't build them to a conclusion that paints, in your favor, and you could do that through words, but you can obviously object to how they're framing the question, the types of questioning, what was the goal of the questioning. Now, the goal of the questioning was to make the bystanders, like, and this is something I couldn't even understand logically. Like, why would you put people on the stand, or even deal with people on the stand who are, and I know you're a defense attorney, you're doing your damnedest to try and defend a murderer, but some people you just got to realize when you got to throw in the towel, right? Um, but he went hard. He was trying to say that, hey, this trained MMA fighter security guard's a bad dude. Just essentially, he essentially wanted the public to look at him and say, no, he's just another angry black guy. That's exactly what he was trying to get out of the deal, out of the cross examination. And I'm just flabbergasted he went that route, but that's really the only other route that you're going to go, right? You can't look at everybody on the street and be like, oh, well, you don't have a right to be angry. You can't say that to them because they do. They have a right to be upset. Now, do all of us understand the nuances of what law enforcement officers have to do within the course of their duties and how protocol says they need to deal with things? No. But some of the things that he kept going to was, George Floyd was still resisting. Like, yeah, the body's going to fight for air. The body will fight for air for as long as it possibly can. And when it stops moving, which it did, right? They got it to the point where rigor was starting to set in, like where he couldn't move. You couldn't move him, right? So not only was he strangled for 9+ minutes, but he had been dead so long by the time the ambulance got there that, was it 30 minutes? Fucking rigor starts to sit in, or an hour. He was starting to be stiff from that. So I don't know. Like they really should have. They really should have. If you've got a cuffed individual, why on God's green earth do you need 4 officers to be on an individual, and why do you need an extra officer? Now, the officer serving as gate guard or gatekeeper from everybody else, I get, right? He's sitting there trying to keep everybody away from the scene, but that's obstruction as well. Like, that's obstruction of the First Amendment because people are recording what's going on, and he's trying to prevent them from being able to see what is happening. Standard policing 101. Don't allow the public to see this. Don't allow the reporters to get their hands on what we're doing, because what we're doing is illegal. What we're doing is wrong. They know it. We know it. And then what Chauvin's real case is going to come down to, and it's not going to be the angry black security guard. It's not going to be the, I felt scared for my life. It's going to be the qualified immunity. That's what's going to, he's like, during this time, I had qualified immunity because I made an arrest in good faith, and my arrest stands on its own merit, where it's, it was a good arrest because he was accused and found out to be, having, fentanyl and other problems, right? So that's going to be the go-to argument. And are they going to acquit based on that? Maybe. If you see an acquittal, don't be surprised, because you heard it first here. Don't be surprised that happens. Now, will all 5 boroughs burn? Yes. Emphatically so. New York City will burn if Chauvin is acquitted. What they're gonna have to do is they're gonna have to pack that dude up, move his ass to Russia or somewhere remote where people can't find him, and give him a whole new identity, whole new everything, and probably plastic surgery in order for him to survive any further. What else is going on? I mean, outside of the Chauvin case, I mean, you have a lot of things going on where you have the canal. I think it's the Suez Canal that's blocked, and you've got one tractor John Deere trying to lift this megaton ship full of containers uh, off of its side, effectively, so it's seaworthy again, so it can sail. Without regard of the kind of damage that has already been done. But still, when you have things like that blocking, that's interfering with international commerce on a large scale. One of the things that we need to do too is recognize that, hey, this is a Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton owned operation. Where could it be child trafficking? I don't know. We should have cameras on that thing day and night to know exactly what was going on, to know what's going on, because not only does it interfere with international commerce, but now you could be looking at an international incident with the Clintons doing what the Clintons do best, and try and take over the world through greed and part of the cabal of demonists that they're part of. I say that with an air of like kind of funny to it, haha funny, not like funny, because I don't know, because you can presume a lot about the Clintons. Did they have some kids killed on some train tracks years back when Bill Clinton was still governor? Probably, or a state congressman? Probably. Did you have a lot of scandals because those people were just bad and they hung out with Epstein and you know Ghislaine Maxwell or whatever what her name is? Yeah, they're bad people, super bad people. Not behind bars though. Can't do that. And why is it that Ghislaine Maxwell is not being? Where's that case? Why is that not on the news? Right? And there are so many prominent cases out there that should be televised like this. This should be where officers, Breonna Taylor, for example, that should be mainstream news. All those officers should be behind bars. I mean, their stories don't add up. The police department's obviously covering for them. You've got police officers out there who have zero regard for the Constitution, who have zero regard for the law, who are so used to enforcing their own will that they have lost all sensibility and understanding of the actual law, because they're so used to being able to bully their way through people and get IDs and just throw them in the back of the cars for no reason, just to fuck with people, just to build a case and then send innocent people to jail over literally nothing. Literally what they do for a living. Now, you're going to say, Dave, there's got to be some good cops out there. There's got to be. And I'm finding it harder and harder each day to honestly believe that there are good cops. Now, are there good people in uniform? Sure. I would say my brothers-in-law, Mesa PD, great dudes, great dads, best people you could possibly meet. Best, right? I want to assume, I want to presume that they're equally as great as officers, and I have no other reason to believe otherwise. I really don't. And I've seen great cops in action down in Casa Grande. I've seen great cops in action in Tempe and Phoenix and Mesa, because I personally know them, and I've gone on ride-alongs, and I've seen them, and I've interacted with them, and to see them doing the right thing is just a wonderful thing. When you see them, policing and really caring about what they do, on a day-to-day basis. And not just being petty, not just pulling people over to pull them over and give them tickets and things like that. No, you got the law enforcement officers that are getting a call about domestic, and then you see, a woman being thrown through her window, and, at that point, yeah, you've got to effect an arrest. That's assault. You gotta create a situation that's safe for everybody, right? So and those cops don't get enough credit. I don't believe. So, but those are the same good guys that you're rooting for are the same guys that are protecting the shitbags that don't know about the law, don't care about the law, and they're the shitbags that are juicing the system. and planting evidence and just trying to make this magical quota thrust upon them. And it's horrible. It's horrible to see. So that's going on out there. And yeah, I mean, just a lot of stuff going on out there in the world. And we got to keep our heads. America, we've reached a point where they're talking about vaccine passports. I've said a year ago, if you were to watch my videos or hear my podcast from a year ago, I fucking came out and said, hey, before too long, it's going to be like Nazi Germany. We're going to have toll stations everywhere, and we're going to have to show our papers to Schultz and the gang to move from one district to the next district, or to move from state to state. And if you think that's not going to happen, if you think chipping's not going to happen, if you think all these things, oh, David, you're just pie in the sky. Now they're trying to pass legislation on it. Is it really fiction now? Is it really fiction when we said, hey, they're going to censor our books first? Nah, it's not going to happen. Then cancel culture comes in and starts canceling everything. Mark Twain, Dr. Seuss, anybody who wrote with an eye for detail. I mean, Mark Twain was a journalist. He wrote period pieces. Some of these people wrote with an eye and an understanding of the times. So not everything is PG or G, just like Disney. Not the world's not like that. But you'll see, and one thing I did see that was just fucking amazing, like a huge middle finger to kind of the world, I would say. And what we had to endure in the 90s was forced Christianity. And I say more than the 90s. I want to say probably the 80s as well. 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s maybe. America really tries to put on this hat like, Christianity is the only way, okay? We're really religious here. Well, studies have proven that young people are like, nah, fuck the church. They're leaving in droves because they see the corruption. They know the bullshit. They know the fucking pedophile fucking priests and, what do you call them, pastors and all that. Just, all it is a mechanism for power. And especially when you've got a young man or a young lady or young person in general who's struggling with their sexuality, who desires other people, the same sex. And then you have little Nas X, who gave the devil a lap dance. People are up in arms, but you got people who watch the show Lucifer and are okay with a detective literally banging the devil, because he is the literal devil in that show. Now, there's a lot of nuance to that show that makes it very understandable and very not doom and gloom, even though there's a little bit of that. But you also have little Nas X who puts on a video, and it's really it's a satire and it's a commentary on what was forced down his throat as a kid, and it made it harder for him to realize who he was later on in life, to, kind of stunted his growth, so to speak. And he has every right to be upset about that, because, you tell kids in your fucking dogma that they are going to go to a literal hell should they misbehave and be queer and things like that. And then you're wondering why when, they grow up and they do their research and they don't buy into the same magic fairy sky guy that you do. And then they make satire, kind of calling you out of your old ways, saying, hey, you fed us bullshit for a long time. This is not what we believe. and we're going to make fun of you for it. So what? That's art. That's fucking hubris on the Christian side. Like, yeah, we got to own that one. We tell our kids all the time that purgatory and hell is a literal place, even though Jesus never mentioned hell as a literal place. Not once. Ever. Not. I would love for you to fucking do chapter and verse on that one. Let me know. Let me know which version of the Bible as well, because apparently there's several different versions of that. You got King James, you've got the Catholic Bible, you've got translation issues from Greek and Hebrew, and I mean just a myriad of problems with Christianity unto itself, on its own. But the American Christian theater is what I want to call it, where you scared the daylights out of an entire couple generations of kids who fear doing anything wrong because we're going to go to hell, or feel like we've been wrong because of how we feel about whoever we want to feel about, are realizing that now we're adults, we're middle-aged adults, or some of us are younger adults, and we're like, you're full of shit. And then we look at our Gen Xers and our our Gen Xers and our fucking, what do you call them, our baby boomers, and we're like, you twisted fucks. For a group that came from, the days of, Kiss and, the fucking flower children and all that, we had realized that you're a bunch of fucking hypocrites. And now you feel offended when people attack you because of your beliefs now? Fuck you. Like, literally, fuck you. Go eat a big bowl of fucking dicks. Honestly. Am I gonna get this YouTube video fucking censored? Probably. I don't give a shit. But still. Honestly, you always hear a battle of, one generation from another. And it's gonna be. It's just the way it's going to be. Us millennials are going to look at the Gen Zers and be like, ha ha, you're stupid. But we've had that shit dumped on us. Well, we're the laziest generation. Get the fuck out of here. You had fucking baby boomers who literally had everything fucking handed to them. Everything. Every fucking thing. And Gen Xers benefited off of those motherfuckers threefold. The ones that really got shit on, the real shit into the stick, millennials. And zennials. And the Gen Zers that are coming up. The millennials are doing a really good job of serving as a fucking shield from the Gen X bullshit and the fucking baby boomer bullshit to the Gen Zers. We're trying to build and paint a picture that's much brighter for them. But we've been battling at a deficit our whole lives. Now, is that an excuse for mediocrity? No. But what I do believe is that we have become superhuman beings because of the challenges that we face. We have become stronger. We have become smarter. We have become quicker to violence, actually, because of the tremendous amount of pressure. But we've also increased our emotional intelligence.